I'm Governor Kathy Hochul, and I'm proud to welcome you to New York State's annual celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. Today, as we remember Dr. King's timeless teachings, we strive to honor his legacy and ensure that his great sacrifice is never taken for granted. As the daughter of social justice Catholics, Dr. King's message of nonviolence was a constant presence in our home. My parents taught me to be kind and compassionate, to see all as equal, and to fight fiercely on the side of righteousness. These are the values that guided Dr. King, who taught us that hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. It's the responsibility of every New Yorker to carry the torch of justice and equality to keep Dr. King's dream alive right here and now. Let me leave you with these powerful words from Dr. King's last speech. We've got to give ourselves to the struggle until the end. Nothing would be more tragic than to stop at this point. We will never stop. Not now, not ever.
Something is happening in our world. Trouble is in the land, confusion all around. But I know somehow that only when it is dark enough can you see the stars.
On April 3rd, 1968, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. stood inside the Mason Temple in Memphis, Tennessee. Outside, a wild storm lashed the streets.
The whole thing was dramatic. There were 3,000 people who had braved the storm and who seemed to be hanging on every word.
They had never heard him give quite this same speech. He summarized his whole life, he summarized the history of the civil rights movement, and he seemed unusually emotional.
Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop.
It almost seems as though he has seen into the future. He has a premonition of his own death.
Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
He delivered what would be the final speech of his life. He urged the crowd to persevere, even if it was without him.
So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
The crowd went wild. They wanted to push forward. They wanted to realize that dream of the promised land.
In just over 24 hours, Dr. King's prophecy would come true. A lone gunman had traveled across the country and was waiting for him.
King is at the Lorraine Motel in Memphis. He had no idea that there was someone stalking him. A man across the parking lot with a rifle and a scope.
He was sharing a room with Ralph Abernathy. They were going to go to dinner at the home of Reverend Billy Kyles. King was perpetually late, and so Abernathy picked up the phone and he had Billy Kyles sort of repeat the menu to try to incentivize King to get out the door and get going.
He went out onto the balcony to talk to some of his friends who were down in the parking lot. Jesse Jackson was down there, and Jesse and King hadn't been getting along that well, but King invited him to come to dinner that night. Then King's driver said, you know, Doc, you should go back and get an overcoat. It's going to be chilly tonight. And King said, okay, I will. And he turned. And that's when he was struck by the bullet.
I have some very sad news for all of you.
Martin Luther King.
Martin Luther King
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. has been struck down.
was shot and was killed.
20 minutes ago, died.
When the news made clear that King was dead, cities all over America burst into flames.
The looting, vandalism, and burning began in the afternoon.
6 days of rioting in the Negro section of Los Angeles.
Looting and arson rocked the city of Detroit.
Several deaths have been reported.
Even the nation's capital was seared.
More than 100 cities across America descended into civil unrest. Hundreds of buildings were burned. Thousands of people were arrested, and more than 40 lost their lives.
We are very upset today because we lost somebody like a father. We've lost something, and we feel it deeply.
How do you think we might heal this wound?
I haven't got the answer to that, but I know it's going to take love and respect for the man who was slain.
His death echoed out into every corner of the United States. This was the greatest activist in American history. And all of a sudden, he was gone. The question for America was what to do next. On Dr. King's final night on Earth, with thunder in the skies, he gave us the answer. He told us, we may not get to the promised land together, but we must press on, even if it is without him.
King showed us the way. He got us as far as he did, and then it's up to us to continue.
For every badge of mainstream success that King collected, he received an equal measure of scorn. Yet, he never gave up. He persevered.
If he saw injustice lingering, he felt he had to address it. I mean, that was the work he had committed himself to, and he was going to keep doing it.
There are New Yorkers all around us who refuse to accept things as they are. They press on. They persevere. Like King, they dedicate their lives to change. Each fights for their own reason, and that reason fuels their commitment to change. They light the way for us all, proving that progress is not the work of one, but of many.
We've got to give ourselves to this struggle until the end. Nothing would be more tragic than to stop at this point. We've got to see it through.
Moments like Dr. King's assassination force us to make a choice: retreat or respond. In New York City, singer Nina Simone chose to respond. Her music turned sorrow into action. Our very survival, Dr. King wrote, depends on our ability to stay awake and to face the challenge of change. Simone understood this challenge. She used her voice to ensure we would not turn away.
They're so soft and fine.
Like so many Americans, in the aftermath of Dr. King's murder, Nina Simone was devastated. She once said, "I must have cried for 2 weeks."
We want to do a tune written for today for Dr. Martin Luther King.
Just days after Dr. King's murder, she performs this song on stage. It's obviously something that's been written just within the last 48 hours or so.
Once upon this planet Earth lived a man of humble birth, preaching love and freedom for his fellow man.
This song called Why the King of Love is Dead. It's so raw. It is so intensely emotional.
Will my country fall, stand or fall? Is it too late for us all?
It's this remarkable real-time reporting of what people were feeling in the immediate aftermath.
Folks, you'd better stop and think. Everybody knows we're on the brink.
The title of the song is Why. I mean, we're starting from a question, and it doesn't feel definitive. It feels like this is what I'm going through, this is what we're all going through.
What will happen now that the King of Love is dead?
Dr. King's death was pivotal for Nina Simone. It was transformational. But she was certainly not a born activist. So through the early 1960s, her star is rising. The whole scene around what's happening in Greenwich Village, the folk music explosion, what's happening with jazz, and she's very much at the center of all of that. And she does pull off headlining Carnegie Hall in 1963. Nina is wildly excited to be playing Carnegie Hall. This is a lifelong dream, and she absolutely nails that performance. But that very same night, in Birmingham, Alabama, Martin Luther King is arrested and jailed. Lorraine Hansberry, the playwright, who Nina had gotten very close to, informed her what had happened in Birmingham and essentially pled with her, what are you doing with this platform? There are important things happening in the world that artists need to be speaking to.
On Sunday, September 15th, 1963, a bomb exploded in Birmingham's 16th Street Baptist Church. 4 children were killed and several adults injured.
She said, when they killed those children is when I said, I have to start using my talent to help Black people. That is the moment that Nina feels compelled to act.
Alabama's gotten me so upset. Tennessee made me lose my rest. Everybody knows about Mississippi Goddam.
It was a real-time snapshot of her fury and her outrage about this moment and this tragedy.
Picket line, school boycotts. They try to say it's a communist plot, but all I want is equality for my sister, my brother, my people, and me.
Mississippi Goddam was a line in the sand.
Oh, but my country's full of lies. We all gonna die and die like flies. 'Cause I don't trust nobody anymore. They keep on saying, go slow.
There was no going back. The role that she now played in music, in the movement, she was in a completely different place.
That's it.
I choose to reflect the times and the situations in which I find myself. That, to me, is my duty. And at this crucial time in our lives, when everything is so desperate, when every day is a matter of survival, I don't think you can help but be involved.
She became known for Mississippi Goddam as a signature song, and then she meets Martin Luther King. She went right up to him and said, I support your work, but I want you to know that I am not nonviolent, which he laughed and said, you know, everybody's welcome in their way. He wanted her anyway. Nina Simone's music was central to the civil rights movement. There's a quote from Andrew Young, the civil rights leader, who says, Nina's records were the soundtrack for the civil rights movement. When we would go knocking on doors, that was what we heard playing when we opened the door.
And my back is strong.
She wasn't on the pop charts, but in the lives of that community, this music was absolutely central and essential.
An artist's duty, as far as I'm concerned, is to reflect the times. How can you be an artist and not reflect the times? That, to me, is the definition of an artist.
To be young, gifted, and black. Oh, how I long to know the truth.
are people who see injustice and it becomes a part of them and they can't run from it. And I think that Nina Simone was one of those people. As Nina said, all my songs have razor cuts.
There's a world, little girl, waiting for you. Yours is the quest that's just begun.
There's no question that Nina Simone paid a price for the things that she was singing and saying on stage and off stage. You do that knowing that's not the thing that's gonna get you on the Johnny Carson show. That's not the thing that's gonna get you the toothpaste endorsement. And that was hard for her because she did have that ambition. We find our inspiration from the figures who fight through struggle and don't get everything that they were looking for and then keep looking for more. When you think of what somebody like Nina Simone was setting out to achieve, how do you live on this earth and do that when the purpose is so big, and yet that's the work that you continue to pursue? That's the flame that keeps burning. That's why we go back and look again and again.
I never intend for my children to look at me and be ashamed and say, Mama, why didn't you do something? I will have done mine.
Why do we keep fighting for justice, even when it feels impossible? Dr. King once said, "We are not makers of history, we are made by history." He believed that understanding the past gives us the power to shape a better future.
We press on by drawing on the strength of those on whose shoulders we stand.
At the Hamilton Hill Art Center in Schenectady, Mickey and Rachel Kahn continue this legacy. They reclaim the stories of their ancestors, using history not as a relic, but as a living force for justice and pride.
Well, children, I just want to welcome everybody. I'm Moses Viney. I'm a runaway slave, and you'll see my name on this grave, but I died in 1909. This is a special place, this Schenectady. I didn't even know how to pronounce it. But I got here, and they said, Moses, you've arrived. I might have started off as a slave, but I died a businessman. You can hear a lot of stories about a lot of great people, but if you're not included in the story, you have to find a way to write your own.
Tonight, our featured storyteller is Mickey Kahn. Mickey is a poet, an author, an educator, a community organizer, and can't wait to hear what she has to share.
Stories. Stories give you strength and teach you who you are.
Good evening, everyone.
We're going to tell you our story of the Hamilton Hill Art Center, a Black-led community and art center where we teach African American culture.
It's important to teach kids African American history because it's often left out.
And when you know your history, you can look to the past to find strength. As for our own history, our family has been running the Art Center for 54 years.
The Art Center was founded by my grandmother,
My mother,
Margaret Cunningham.
I was the director.
And I am the director today. Our family has given everything to the Art Center. It's part of who we are.
Martin Luther King had just been killed. I was actively involved in the civil rights movement at that time. My mother needed to think about How could she contribute from Schenectady?
The Hamilton Hill neighborhood has often been neglected.
It was essentially the slum of Schenectady.
It's considered to be a Black neighborhood. It's considered to be violent.
It was the area where children were not getting the services or the opportunities that they needed. And so she felt that was a place that she could make a contribution.
Everybody come on in. Run on in and find a spot for yourself. Everybody come on in, let's go. Simon says, put your hands over top of your head. Simon says, put your hands like this. Simon said, clap your hands, bring this arm up. If you brought this arm up, sit down. Okay. Simon says,
we hold after-school programs and summer programs for children, community-wide events, and we bring people together.
We serve approximately 200 children a year. The impact is exponential. In generations, 200 becomes thousands. Today, we're having our 24th annual Juneteenth celebration. It's the celebration of freedom from slavery. We are honoring our past, how far we've come, and celebrating our present and our road for the future.
I did want to take a peek at the capoeira.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Our mission is to promote the art and culture of the African diaspora, to restore our community to a sense of wholeness.
We draw strength from our ancestors in their perseverance, and we've needed that strength. Hamilton Hill has always been underinvested in, redlined, and seen as a place to avoid. Black communities don't receive the same funds and opportunities as white ones. But if our ancestors could keep going, so can we.
When I was 13 years old, a friend of mine in middle school brought me over to the Art Center. We did dance classes for a couple of weeks, and then she eventually fell off, and I decided to stay. I wanted to be anywhere but home. Home was not a fun place to be. The Art Center was sort of like the cure for that. I've been connected to the Art Center for about 21 years.
I did not know.
Yeah. All right, so here, where we pick up the bottom, put it over the top, and now do it for all of them until there's one loop on every one of them. The role that our ancestors play is role models. They're the role models for how to pull yourself up when you have nothing. And unfortunately for us, we're still in those situations. A lot of these kids don't have anything. And so they need role models for people who have built something out of nothing to look to.
I often find myself having to justify why we focus on the art and culture of the African diaspora. People have asked, why don't we just be an after-school program and take it out of our mission? You don't hear people asking why the Italian Community Center, why the Jewish Community Center, why celebrate your culture, why celebrate your names, your languages, your skills. It's most commonly asked of us. That narrative that we are worth less is so strong that people can't hear when they're saying it. It is why we exist and what we are here to combat. There's this Yoruba story about Oshun, the goddess of creativity. All of the entities came to create the earth, and everything that they created failed because they left out Oshun. When they involved this spirit of nurturing, of creativity, of beauty, things were able to come together. And that is the role that the Art Center plays in the community. We bring that art, we bring that culture, we allow the community that stability. my commitment to this community. It's my love letter to my ancestors.
When I put on this hat, this cane, and these gloves, it's transformational and it's inspiring for me because he was here and he left a legacy for us to follow. I gotta do great things. No matter where you begin, you can do anything. All you gotta do is believe. And I'm a believer. And I'm believing that we're making a difference just by being here.
How do we find pride and purpose in the face of challenge? Dr. King wrote, "We are tied in a single garment of destiny." He believed that when one group is ignored, we all fall behind.
All mankind is tied up together in an inescapable network of mutuality. We're in it together.
In New York City, chef and food historian Von Diaz highlights the overlooked role of Latinos in the civil rights movement. Through the story of the plantain, she shows how this humble ingredient became a symbol of resilience and pride, reminding us that progress demands every voice be heard.
Islands have always fascinated me. From the Caribbean to the Pacific, they're cradles of culture and home to bold, unforgettable flavors. Limes, coconuts, mangoes, they're more than just food. They're history on a plate. You might not think of Manhattan as an island, but it is. You can't walk 5-10 feet without finding delicious island food. I'm Von Diaz, a chef, food historian, and cookbook author. I've spent my life traveling across islands, learning their cuisines. And I'm from an island myself, Puerto Rico. Writing my cookbook, Islas, was a true privilege because I love the island where I'm from, and I traveled the world visiting other islands. Manhattan may not be my first home, but it's where food became my way of life. Today I'm going to tell the story of the plantain.
Muchas gracias, amiga, te lo agradezco.
Its journey is deeply tied to resilience and cultural pride in ways you might not expect. So plantains are probably the most recognizable ingredient from the Caribbean. The history of the plantain began with trauma. Spanish and African traders brought plantains on slave ships as food for enslaved people. Plantains were considered the lowest food, the bare minimum for survival. But from this dark beginning, something unexpected would grow. Plantains are known in Latin as Musa sapientum, or the wise fruit. They grow without needing to be replanted. As long as their roots remain strong, they send up new shoots, season after season. But the most extraordinary part of the plantain story isn't just its resilience. It's how it was transformed. The descendants of those enslaved people didn't just accept this humble food as something forced on them. Instead, they claimed it as their own, reinventing it as a vital part of their cultural identity. And so plantains, slowly over time, have evolved from being a food that was expressly for impoverished people to one that is considered one of the most prized. I feel deeply connected to plantains. They are a staple of Puerto Rican cooking. So, they thought they were giving us garbage, but they were actually giving us gold. Plátano gold. Transforming simple ingredients into something nourishing reflects the ethos of the civil rights movement, where ordinary people came together to create extraordinary change. People often forget that Latinos played a key role in the civil rights era. Dr. King recognized that the struggles faced by Black and Latino communities were interconnected, so he sought out Latino leaders. One of those leaders was Gilberto Gerena Valentin, president of the New York Puerto Rican Day Parade. As Valentin recalled, Dr. King invited me to talk about the march. He asked me to organize Latinos, and so I did. At the March on Washington, thousands of Latinos joined the crowd, including many Puerto Ricans from New York City. From the same stage where Dr. King would later deliver his I Have a Dream speech, Gilberto Gerena Valentin addressed the crowd in Spanish, condemning the discrimination faced by Puerto Ricans and Hispanics. But despite this historic moment, major news outlets ignored Valentin's participation, leaving the role Latinos played that day untold. Valentin was one of many Latino voices that shaped the civil rights movement, yet history overlooked him. I want to reclaim these stories, to tell them fully, and to show how people like Valentin, and even humble ingredients like the plantain, can be transformed into symbols of identity and pride.
There are endless ways to cook plantains. Mofongo is easily the most famous dish of Puerto Rico. In the US, you most often see them as tostones, fried green plantains, all kinds of chips. And of course, sweet plantains or maduros. Delicious. Today, I'm gonna make my grandmother's mofongo. It was one of my favorite things that she prepared when I was young. So mofongo is essentially fried plantains that are smashed with garlic and salt. Of all the foods that I would eat when I would go to Puerto Rico to visit my grandmother, mofongo is probably the one that I remember the most. Not just because it is delicious, but because it was so unique. Plátanos and mofongo are my food. They are central to my history and core to my being.
Food brings people together, but it's more than just taste or tradition. It carries the stories of survival, adaptation, and identity.
So I prepared this mofongo in the way that my grandmother typically prepared it. It's a little bit lighter. It's served with this lemongrass shrimp broth. I'm so grateful for y'all. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Truly.
The plantain's journey mirrors the fight for civil rights. What began as a tool of oppression became a source of strength and pride, a symbol of how people can transform hardship into something beautiful. When I cook dishes inspired by my Puerto Rican heritage and share them with my loved ones in New York, I'm adding to that story and shaping the plantain's legacy. Plantains remind us that even from dark beginnings, we can grow toward the light.
Why is representation important? And when is the right time to fight for it? Dr. King reminded us that progress isn't inevitable. It comes through the tireless efforts and the persistent work of dedicated individuals, and that the time is always right to do right. In 2024, the State University of New York launched the Black Leadership Institute to elevate Black academics so they may truly represent the diversity of their students.
Having diversity in our leadership is crucial to the health of our democracy and the future of the country. I'm the Chancellor of the State University of New York, and we're building programs to develop a diverse pipeline of leadership talent because you have to see it to believe it.
Right, it's right here.
Any wayward locks? What was the question again? Okay, great. I don't remember what I was talking about.
Oh my
okay?
Sorry for all the hand gestures.
Yeah. What did you want to be when you grew up?
When I was a kid, I wanted to be a cop.
I wanted to fight the mob.
I always wanted to be a lawyer.
I got to high school and determined that I wanted to be an engineer.
Just a little background about me. Both my parents are from Nigeria.
I grew up in very, let's just say, humble beginnings where there was a lot of drugs, a lot of violence.
True story, I was actually rejected from law school.
The guidance counselor was very clear about telling me that they didn't think I could do it.
And so I called up the law school and I said, I think you made a mistake.
I guess I'm a little bit of a rebel because I only applied to the engineering schools.
I felt that they needed to know that, no, I belong here.
My name is Adeola David Oyero.
Danielle Lee.
Dee Bennett Gale.
I am part of the first cohort for the SUNY Black Leadership Institute.
My name is Tamara Frazier. I am the executive director of the SUNY Black Leadership Institute. The SUNY Black Leadership Institute is an immersive leadership experience geared toward professionals across our 64 campuses. Currently, the leadership at our campuses does not reflect the diversity of our student body statewide. The goal of BLI is to take leaders who already have great skills and give them even more refined competencies to help them soar.
If I were to teach somebody about leadership, I would tell them what it is not. It's not power.
It's not always about the...
Good leaders are not looking for people to just say yes.
Did you bring the people who were there with you along with you? Do they also feel success? So if I'm not doing that, then honestly, I'm not a leader, nor am I doing my job.
There are a lot of times that I've had barriers.
Racism, misogyny, ableism, right?
And I would not be able to tell you if it was because I was Black or a woman, or if it was because I was a Black woman.
The biggest challenge I face because of the color of my skin is literally the color of my skin.
What you're not going to do, right, is marginalize me and not think I don't know that's happening.
I think the Black Leadership Institute allows for those conversations to happen, for us to be able to voice those things and come together to improve those conditions.
I would feel that if Dr. Martin Luther King was here, he would be proud of the work that we're doing, because we're trying to change the trajectory of leadership at the higher education landscape.
I don't cringe or get anxiety when I say I'm a leader now. The experience has taught me how to own it in such delicious ways.
Continue without ceasing.
Let's build this thing so that we as a group are also part of the community. We're not being tolerated, we are part of it.
I'm a very powerful Black woman, I'll say it.
We have to run this race with integrity. We have to run this race knowing that we don't know when our last breath is going to be. And so we have to wake up every day and do our work with intention.
I think it's important for, especially my young African-American students, to see people like us in these positions so that they understand that they can be there.
Leaders can affect change at every level. We're working to develop a set of leaders who will empower their communities to make a difference in the lives of individuals. And that happened for me. I'm sitting here because of a 4th grade teacher who intervened and saved my life when my mom passed. My dad was very sick. Home was incredibly difficult. He made the difference for me. That's why I'm here today. We are trying to empower a group of leaders who can make that individual difference in countless lives.
At the heart of his activism, Dr. King emphasized the need for inclusivity. Yet in his lifetime, he did not embrace the LGBTQ+ community.
King was not receptive to gay rights. When he had an advice column, someone wrote in and said he thought he was gay and he didn't know what to do about it. And King said, "It's not good. You need to get help."
He was a product of his times and influenced by the same conservative attitudes as many of his peers. Yet interestingly, one of his closest advisors was Bayard Rustin, a gay man. Their bond shows how Dr. King could embrace a friend while still struggling with the larger complexities of LGBTQ+ rights. Today, gay and trans activists like Sean Anthony and Zoli Moon in Buffalo take inspiration from his relentless pursuit of equality for all.
When I walk into a room, I walk with my head held high. I make eye contact. I strut through the room like I'm Beyonce.
There's a lot of drama that comes in ballroom. It kind of has created a monster.
It's the confidence, it's the style, it's the grace, it's how you carry yourself. You gotta throw that spice and that attitude.
The people around you say that that's horrible, that you shouldn't dress like that, you shouldn't look like that, you shouldn't act like that. This is not a costume. I don't take this off and lay down as a boy.
I walk in a room and this is my room. I'm here. Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you.
I'm a human, you're a human, we're normal. We still need to fight for acceptance. We still need to fight for civil rights.
My name is Sean Anthony, also known as Salsa Dior Garçon.
I'm Zoli Moon, formerly known as WNY Mother Zoli Dior.
I want to welcome you to good old Buffalo, the city of good neighbors. Welcome, welcome.
Y'all came here to see Vogue Buffalo, right?
Vogue Buffalo was founded by a good friend of mine, and I joined in, I seen what they were doing, and I wanted to elevate it.
I'm ready to get this ball started. Is that what y'all came for? Yes, I love that.
Vogue Buffalo is an organization that teaches about the history and the preservation of ballroom.
The competitions is called a ball. So we walk balls, we compete in balls, and we mentor the youth. It's just a room full of people who are on a journey of self-discovery and wanting to put themselves on a platform to be seen. Because a lot of times we don't feel seen.
Don't allow anybody to make you feel that you are nobody. Always feel that you count. Always feel that you have worth. And always feel that your life has ultimate significance.
Poses are very, very important in ballroom. There is hands, spins and dips, duck walk, floor performance, and catwalk.
It's all about the fluidity and the story you tell with your hands and the movements.
If you're not passionate about it, you're never gonna win a ball. You're never gonna walk away with a trophy. You could look like a frog and be the most confident frog out there. People are automatically gonna respect you because you're comfortable and confident in your skin.
This shirt is the legendary Yolanda Jordan. I like to consider myself the Yolanda of ballroom. I am an Afro-Latino who is very overlooked and underrated, as the doll was. I feel empowered by a lot of the trans women from that particular 90s, early 2000s era. The hot girls, the it girls. I definitely do consider myself an activist. I am very outspoken when it comes to certain issues, and I think our biggest thing as LGBTQ+ people is we want to humanize ourselves. We want to eliminate the creepy creature ideologies that people have of us. What it really inspired me was like the authenticity, like the ability to be trans and to be sexy and to know it and to own it in a room full of people who may or may not be like you or may or may not understand.
We do have our struggles, we do have our tragedies that we encounter.
I am the first trans person in my entire family, father and mother's side. During my beginning stages, I did not accept myself. My hatred came from not being able to pass or to be able to walk into a room and not really get stared at or not really get ridiculed.
I struggled in high school. I dealt with bullying. I've dealt with physical violence, times where I've had to literally just run because there's 5 people chasing me. It wasn't out to my family yet. It's not like I could go home and be like, hey, Mom, these guys try to jump me because I'm gay, come help me. I just had to go in my room and just move on.
At the time of my transition, I didn't feel accepted by my family, particularly what possessed you to do this? Like, are you demonically possessed? Also, not gendering me properly, not calling me by my name, it was hard. I had to rip the doors off the hinges for all of us.
One thing that I always remember from being a teenager and coming out was a family member telling me, oh, this isn't the life I would have chosen for you, but who says you get to choose my life? Like, this is who I am. I just knew I couldn't give up. I knew that if I gave up, that was it.
I just wanted to be heard as an individual. I just wanted somebody like me to tell me it was gonna be okay. It was life or death for me, kind of. That's kind of a touchy subject.
You know, a lot of people don't love themselves. They go through life with deep and haunting emotional conflicts. So the length of life means that you must love yourself. And you know what loving yourself also means? It means that you've got to accept yourself. I have a rich, noble, and proud heritage. However exploited and however painful my history has been, I am somebody.
Ballroom is how a lot of us found the confidence that we hold in who we are. Here is a room full of people celebrating this person, however they identify, dressed fluidly and flailing around in the most flamboyant way. And they're screaming and cheering for them. And it's like, wait a minute. This is something that is like, okay. Like, there is a community and a sense of family for this.
Once I came into this world, it changed my life. My family will never understand what we go through. Stuff that we can't communicate with the real world with our family, we can communicate with this world.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Vogue Buffalo Vogue and Runway classes.
Every Thursday, Vogue Buffalo, which consists of myself and Sean Anthony, we teach the elements of voguing. We teach the elements of runway.
Okay. All natural. All natural, all day, everyday realness.
They accept everybody. They want everybody to come and enjoy who they are.
Hello.
Who you are is what makes you special. That's what makes you unique.
When I see a lot of the young kids who come to our classes and stuff, some of the things that they tell me that they're going through, being stressed out, family issues, I always try to be there for them and always try to just like talk to them.
We all got rejected. We all went through love that we always wanted and never had.
I've witnessed self-harm, homelessness, hunger, and I've helped to change that in other people's lives. Whether it's a conversation, whether it's linking them to resources, even being a listening ear. My goal is to create a space and create a future that actually is a lot easier for people like myself. Voguing, ballroom, helped to make me realize that there are others out there like me and who walk the same path as me. And that's what Vogue Buffalo is. We created a space for LGBTQ people to just come and be expressive and be themselves.
We are Every Voice Choirs. We are singing I Wish I Knew How It Would Feel to Be Free, the song made famous by Miss Nina Simone.
To
We very much feel like we're at a crossroads right now. There's a feeling that we can't make a difference, that an individual can't change anything. And King told us over and over again, and he still tells us, that we can't take that attitude. We can't lose infinite hope.
He basically showed me that you could be who you are and make changes in this country.
The Hamilton Hill Art Center is a continuation of my fight for civil rights. I didn't want other children to have to experience the kind of thing that I did experience.
People who are just like me, who look like me, who have nothing, who came from nothing. They only have us.
The tiny puzzle piece that I put in place that creates the bigger picture, it will make a mark, but it will definitely only be the stepping stone to where we need to go.
We have to overcome our fears. We have to overcome our frustrations. You have to continue to work for justice.
Dr. King's life was taken at 39. Think about all the difference that he was able to make. We owe it to him to keep pushing forward toward a more just, more equitable future for our society.
We are determined to be men. We are determined to be people. We want to be free.
We should see his example as calling all of us, not just to lament the problems, but to take action.
Take it all.